The warning. Admiral Vix Era stood before the Hegemony Council, her crystalline exoskeleton bearing the marks of countless battles. The grand chamber of Mu Centauri, with its floating platforms and quantum displays, seemed to mock her urgent message with its serenity. 12 council members, representing the most powerful species in known space, gazed down at her with barely concealed disdain. "Honored Council," she began, her translator working overtime to convey the gravity in her subsonic frequencies. "I come before you not as a decorated admiral of the Hegemony fleet, but as a survivor. What I witnessed in the Ta City engagement cannot be dismissed as primitive tactics or lucky coincidence." High Counselor Zixtal's bioluminescent patterns flickered with amusement. "Admiral, your service record commands respect, but surely you cannot expect us to delay the integration protocol based on a single skirmish with these humans." Vixera's sensory appendages twitched with frustration. She activated her neural interface, projecting holographic footage from her memory banks. The chamber filled with images of Earth vessels, apparently crude by hegemony standards, executing maneuvers that should have been impossible with their level of technology. "This was no skirmish," she insisted. "We engaged their defense fleet with standard protocols. 4 of our capital ships against their orbital platforms. We expected submission within hours." She paused, letting the footage play. "Instead, they turned their mining vessels into kinetic weapons. They used their planet's magnetic field to mask missile launches. Their pilots—" she struggled to find the right words. "Their pilots flew directly into our plasma streams to deliver their payloads." "Barbaric tactics," interrupted Counselor Nix, their gelatinous form rippling with disgust. "This only proves they need our guidance." "You misunderstand," Vix Era pressed on. "These humans, they don't think like us. Our strategic AI predicted every possible counter based on rational combat doctrine. But humans, they improvise. They sacrifice. They defy programming and probability alike." The footage showed a human vessel, its hull breached and reactor critical, deliberately colliding with a Hegemony dreadnought's sensor array. The resulting electromagnetic pulse had disabled the entire battle group's targeting systems, leaving them vulnerable to Earth's primitive but devastating nuclear weapons. "We lost 3 ships that day," Vix Era continued, her voice heavy with memory. "But what truly haunts me is what happened after. We captured some of their soldiers, thinking to understand their command structure. Instead, each one gave us different information, all of it wrong. They had anticipated capture. Every soldier, down to their maintenance crews, had been trained to become an intelligence weapon if taken." High Counselor Zixtal raised an appendage, cutting off the projection. "Admiral, while your concern is noted, the integration protocol will proceed as planned. The Hegemony has incorporated thousands of species over 12 millennia. Humanity's resistance, while admirable, cannot possibly stand against the full might of our civilization." Vix Era felt a cold certainty settle in her core. "You're wrong. I've studied their history. Do you know what humans did before they had spaceflight? They spent millennia fighting each other. Every weapon, every tactic, every strategy we know. They've used them all against themselves. They've had more wars in their short history than the Hegemony has seen in 10,000 years. And each time, they emerge stronger, more adaptive, more united in the face of external threats." "Enough." Zixtal's patterns now pulsed with anger. "You forget yourself. Admiral, the Council has made its decision. Humanity will be integrated, by force if necessary. You are dismissed." As Vix Era left the chamber, she caught fragments of the Council's discussion. They were already planning the integration fleet's composition, confident in their overwhelming technological superiority. But she knew better. In all her cycles of service, she had never encountered a species that treated impossible situations as mere challenges to overcome. The humans had a saying she had learned from a captured commander. "Necessity is the mother of invention." The Hegemony was about to learn exactly what that meant. First contact gone wrong. The Hegemony integration fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their quantum crystalline hulls refracting sunlight across Earth's orbital plane. 5,000 ships, from nimble corvettes to city-sized dreadnoughts, represented the largest deployment in 3 centuries. Admiral HFY, newly appointed fleet commander, allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Surely now, the humans would recognize the futility of resistance. The first warning came from the science vessels. Earth's orbital space was surprisingly clear of debris, unusual for a species at their technological level. The second warning was the complete radio silence from the planet's surface. But by then, it was too late. "Sir," a sensor operator's neural patterns spiked with alarm. Detecting multiple anomalies in the asteroid belt, they're moving. What had appeared to be typical space rocks began to shift, revealing engines and weapon ports. The humans had hollowed out asteroids, turning them into massive stealth platforms. Before the hegemony fleet could reposition, the platforms opened fire, not with energy weapons or railguns, but with clouds of seemingly primitive metallic debris. "Minimal threat detected," the fleet's AI reported. "Debris is composed of basic metals," and the AI never finished its assessment. The debris cloud, traveling at significant velocity, passed through the fleet's energy shields, calibrated to stop high-energy weapons, not simple matter. Then, as the clouds reached the ships, they detonated. Each piece of shrapnel contained a compact fusion device, turning the debris field into a massive shotgun blast of nuclear fire. 300 ships were crippled in the opening salvo. "Impossible," HFY whispered, watching his carefully arranged formation dissolve into chaos. Their technological level, they shouldn't be capable of this level of coordination. But the asteroid gambit was just the beginning. From Earth's surface, hundreds of missiles launched, their trajectories erratic and unpredictable. The fleet's targeting systems, designed to track logical attack patterns, struggled to lock onto weapons that seemed to actively defy tactical sense. "Sir, the missiles, they're manually guided," an analyst reported with disbelief. "Human pilots are riding them, making course corrections that no eye can predict." The missiles struck home, their warheads combining electromagnetic pulses with targeted gravitational distortions, crude but effective copies of hegemony technology, reverse-engineered from debris of previous encounters. Ships began losing power, their quantum crystalline structures destabilizing under the assault. In the command center of the flagship, HFY received a transmission from Earth. A single human appeared on screen, wearing what appeared to be a primitive pressure suit. "This is General Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We've studied your technology, your tactics, and your previous conquests. Did you really think we'd just wait for you to arrive?" HFY's translator struggled with the emotion in the human's voice. Was it pride? Anger? Both. "Your shields stop energy weapons, so we used kinetic strikes," Chen continued. "Your sensors look for advanced technology, so we hid our weapons in rocks. Your eye predicts logical tactics, so we chose to be illogical. For every advantage you thought you had, we found a way to turn it against you." The human paused, and now HFY recognized the emotion. Satisfaction. "We will not be integrated. We will not submit. And for every ship you send, we'll have a new surprise waiting. This is humanity's formal response to your integration protocol." As if to emphasize her point, another wave of weapons launched from Earth. But these were different. Scanning them revealed they were exact copies of hegemony torpedoes, but modified in ways the fleet systems couldn't understand. "Fascinating, isn't it?" Chen's voice carried a hint of dark humor. "We found one of your torpedoes that failed to detonate during the Ta City engagement. Our engineers had quite a time taking it apart. They made some improvements. The modified torpedoes tore through the fleet's defenses like they weren't there, targeting specific weak points that should have been impossible for humans to know about." HFY watched in horror as his ships began falling back in disarray, their superior technology rendered meaningless by humanity's brutal pragmatism. In that moment, he remembered Admiral Vixera's warning to the Council. He had dismissed her concerns as the ramblings of a traumatized veteran. Now, watching his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled by a supposedly primitive species, he understood. The hegemony had spent millennia perfecting the art of warfare, but humans had spent their entire history learning how to win despite being outgunned and outnumbered. And they were very, very good at it. The turning point. In the aftermath of the failed invasion, the hegemony's Central Intelligence Division received a disturbing report. Their salvage teams couldn't find any wreckage from the battle. The humans had recovered every piece of destroyed hegemony technology, down to the smallest fragment. But it was what they were doing with these fragments that would change the course of the war. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, in a facility known as the Global Adaptation Center, Dr. Maya Patel stood before a holographic display of a captured hegemony shield generator. Around her, a team of scientists from 30 different nations worked in seamless coordination, each bringing their unique perspectives to the challenge of understanding alien technology. The beauty of their shield design is its efficiency, Maya explained to the newly arrived Chinese quantum physicist, Dr. Lu Wei. But its greatest strength is also its weakness. They designed it to be perfect, unchanging. They never considered that imperfection might be an advantage. The captured generator hummed in its containment field, its crystalline structure pulsing with energy. What the hegemony couldn't understand, was that humans had deliberately allowed some ships to land, sacrificing territory for the opportunity to capture their technology intact. In orbit, the remains of the hegemony fleet regrouped, still reeling from their losses. Admiral Kexvi received a priority transmission from the Council. His mandibles clicked with anxiety as High Counselor Zixtel's image appeared. "Admiral, explain how a pre-FTL civilization has managed to inflict such losses on our most advanced fleet," Zixtel demanded, bioluminescent patterns flashing with rage. Before Kexvi could respond, his sensor officer interrupted. "Sir, we're detecting energy signatures. Impossible. The humans are powering up hegemony shield technology across their major cities. On Earth, the adaptation was already spreading. In Lagos, engineers had combined hegemony power systems with local solar technology, creating hybrid generators that powered entire districts. In Bangalore, software developers had cracked the alien encryption protocols, using the knowledge to enhance Earth's quantum computing capabilities. Each breakthrough was immediately shared across a global network, allowing for rapid iteration and improvement. The hegemony's intelligence analysts were baffled. Their models had predicted decades of scientific development compressed into weeks. What they failed to understand was that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their diversity of thought. In the hegemony, technology developed along careful, predetermined paths. Innovation was methodical, controlled. But humans, they threw out the rulebook. They combined technologies in ways that should never work, but somehow did. They made mistakes, learned from them, and turned those lessons into advantages. A month after the failed invasion, Earth launched its first counterattack. The hegemony defenders watched in confusion as seemingly primitive Earth ships approached their blockade. Scans showed no significant technological advancement, until the ships began to change. What appeared to be metal panels fell away, revealing hybrid technology that defied classification. Human ingenuity had merged their own robust, practical engineering with salvaged hegemony tech. The result was something entirely new: ships that could take hits that would destroy pure hegemony vessels, weapons that bypassed advanced shields by operating on principles the aliens had never considered. "They're not just copying our technology," reported a horrified hegemony analyst. "They're evolving it." The human ships struck hard and fast, using tactics that no strategic AI could predict because they violated every principle of established space combat. They deliberately flew into their own weapon fire, using the chaos to mask their true movements. They powered down systems seemingly at random, only to reveal it was part of a coordinated attack pattern. In the Global Adaptation Center, Maya and her team watched the battle through hijacked hegemony feeds. "See how they're responding," she noted. "Their ships can't adapt mid-battle. Their technology is too perfect, too specialized. They never learn to improvise." The human counteroffensive didn't try to match hegemony technology directly. Instead, they exploited its assumptions. Where hegemony ships relied on complex targeting systems, humans used simple solutions that couldn't be jammed. Where alien shields stopped conventional weapons, humans launched unconventional attacks that the shields weren't designed to handle. As the battle turned decisively in Earth's favor, Admiral HFY received another transmission. This time, it was Admiral Vixera. Her expression was solemn, but there was something else in her posture: respect. "Now you understand," she said simply. "Humans don't just adapt. They thrive on adversity. Every challenge we present them with makes them stronger. And now, thanks to our invasion, they've united in a way their history suggests should be impossible." The war was far from over, but in that moment, watching human ships dance through debris fields with impossible grace, many in the hegemony began to realize a crucial truth. They hadn't just underestimated humanity's capabilities. They had fundamentally misunderstood what made humans dangerous. It wasn't their technology, their resources, or even their tactics. It was their unrelenting drive to overcome, to improve, to surprise, and above all, their ability to work together in the face of overwhelming odds. Unconventional warfare. The hegemony's strategic AI had calculated that controlling Earth's major population centers would force humanity's surrender. It had failed to account for one crucial factor. Humans had been fighting in every environment on their planet for millennia, and each region had its own way of waging war. In the Amazon rainforest, hegemony ground forces found themselves facing an invisible enemy. Their advanced sensors, designed to detect energy signatures and metallic weapons, were useless against the simple but lethal traps set by indigenous warriors working alongside special forces. The dense canopy blocked orbital support, and the constant humidity played havoc with their precision equipment. "They're using the trees themselves as weapons," reported a frustrated hegemony commander. His forces had lost 3 squadrons to deadfalls and pitfalls that their scanners couldn't detect because they were made entirely of organic materials. When they tried to burn the forest for visibility, the humans somehow used the smoke patterns to coordinate devastating ambushes. In the Afghan mountains, the hegemony encountered a different kind of warfare. Local fighters, their tactics refined by centuries of resisting invaders, taught other resistance groups how to use the terrain to their advantage. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking from impossible angles and vanishing into hidden cave networks that defied mapping. A captured hegemony officer later wrote in his report, "Their technology is primitive, but they know every rock, every shadow. They don't try to match our capabilities. They simply make them irrelevant. We control the skies, but they own the mountains." The oceans proved equally treacherous. The hegemony's submersible units, accustomed to the relatively simple environments of alien seas, were unprepared for Earth's marine complexity. Human submarines, incorporating salvaged hegemony tech into designs evolved through decades of undersea warfare, struck without warning. "The humans have turned their entire planet into a weapon," Admiral HFY observed, watching another assault force disappear into the Mariana Trench. "Every environment we thought would hinder them has instead become their ally." In orbit, the hegemony's remaining ships faced a new nightmare. Humans had begun launching what they called mine swarms, clouds of self-replicating drones built from salvaged hegemony technology, combined with Earth's robust mechanical engineering. The drones weren't particularly advanced, but they learned from each other, adapting their attack patterns faster than the hegemony's AIs could predict. The Arctic Circle became a graveyard for hegemony ground forces. Their temperature regulation systems, designed for the vacuum of space, couldn't handle the rapid transitions between extreme cold and the heat of battle. Local survivors, working with military engineers, developed tactics that deliberately triggered these weaknesses. They would heat the ice beneath hegemony units, then flash freeze it again, trapping advanced alien vehicles in simple ice sheets. Even Earth's urban centers, which the hegemony had expected to be easy targets, became death traps for invasion forces. Every city had its own flavor of resistance. In Tokyo, civilian drone operators reprogrammed their peaceful machines for warfare, creating swarms that could overwhelm alien defenses through sheer numbers. In Lagos, tech-savvy youth combined local ingenuity with salvaged alien tech, creating hybrid weapons that bypassed hegemony shields. They don't fight like a unified force, reported a hegemony tactical analyst. Each group adapts our salvaged technology to their own cultural warfare traditions. We're not fighting one enemy. We're fighting 1,000 different armies, each with its own approach to combat. The hegemony's strategic AI, attempting to process this chaotic data, began to show signs of strain. It had been programmed to recognize patterns, to predict enemy behavior based on logical military doctrine. But humans weren't following any single doctrine. Each region, each group, fought in its own way while somehow still coordinating with the others. In the Sahara Desert, Tuareg guides led resistance fighters through sandstorms that disabled hegemony sensors. In the Siberian tundra, local hunters taught others how to move across vast distances unseen. Each environment presented its own challenges, and in each one, humans proved to be masters of adaptation. Their planet should have been their weakness, Admiral Vix-Era observed, watching another failed hegemony offensive. Instead, they turned every biome into a fortress, every environmental challenge into a tactical advantage. We thought our advanced technology would make their diverse environments irrelevant. Instead, their experience fighting in these environments has made much of our technology irrelevant. As the hegemony forces continued to lose ground across every front, a new understanding began to emerge among their commanders. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their ability to adapt hegemony technology. It was their experience fighting in every conceivable environment, their ability to turn any terrain into an advantage, and their willingness to share and combine their diverse combat knowledge. The war had become a lesson in humility for the mighty hegemony, as they discovered that their technological superiority meant little against an enemy who had spent their entire history learning to fight and win in every corner of their world. A new understanding. The great halls of the Hegemony Council, once a symbol of unshakable power, now echoed with heated debate. The crystalline chambers that had witnessed 12 millennia of unified rule fractured with discord as the latest reports from Earth arrived. Admiral Vix-Era stood once again before the council, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood Admiral Kexavi and a growing number of fleet commanders, their postures resolute. The integration protocol has failed, Vix-Era announced, her voice carrying none of the desperation from her previous warning. But more importantly, we have failed to understand what we faced. The humans haven't just defeated our forces, they've changed how we must think about warfare, about adaptation, about progress itself. High Counselor Zixel's bioluminescent patterns flashed with fury. You speak of defeat. The hegemony does not accept defeat. We will simply commit more forces, more resources. To what end? Interrupted Kexavi, stepping forward. To watch them adapt to our technology even faster. To give them more opportunities to learn our weaknesses. He activated a holographic display, showing footage from dozens of battles across Earth's diverse environments. Every engagement teaches them. Every weapon we deploy becomes their weapon. Every tactic we use becomes a lesson they learn and improve upon. The council chamber filled with images of human ingenuity, hybrid vessels combining hegemony quantum drives with Earth's robust engineering, shield systems modified to work in ways the original designers never imagined, and warfare tactics that seemed to defy conventional logic, yet proved devastatingly effective. But it's not just their adaptation of our technology that makes them formidable, Vix-Era continued. It's their diversity of thought, their ability to approach problems from countless different angles simultaneously. While we sought perfection in our uniformity, they found strength in their differences. A junior council member spoke up, their crystalline form vibrating with curiosity. How can chaos be stronger than order? How can division be more effective than unity? Because what we saw as chaos was actually adaptation in its purest form, answered a new voice. Dr. Maya Patel stepped forward, her presence in the council chamber unprecedented, the first human ever invited to address the hegemony's highest body. Each human culture, each region, each individual brings their own perspective, Maya explained. We don't just tolerate differences, we actively seek them out. Every problem we face gets examined from thousands of angles simultaneously. What you see as disorder, we recognize as strength. She gestured to the battle footage still playing. Your technology is incredible, but it's developed along singular, predetermined paths. You seek the perfect solution and stick to it. Humans, we try everything. We fail fast, learn faster, and share what we learn instantly. Our solutions aren't always elegant, but they work, and more importantly, they keep evolving. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The hegemony's greatest strength, its unity of purpose and technological perfection, had become a weakness when faced with humanity's adaptability and embrace of diversity. We propose a new protocol, Vix Era announced into the silence. Not integration, but cooperation. The humans have shown us that there are countless paths to advancement, countless ways to solve problems we thought we had already solved perfectly. Think of what we could learn from each other. Learn from them. Zixtal's patterns pulsed with disbelief. They're centuries behind us technologically. Are they? Kexvi challenged, displaying footage of human ships now effectively using modified hegemony technology. In less than a year, they've taken our most advanced systems and found ways to use them that we never imagined. Not because they're superior, but because they think differently. Because they're willing to experiment, to fail, to try the impossible. Maya stepped forward again. We don't want your war, but we don't want your kind of peace either. The peace of enforced uniformity. We offer instead an exchange. Our creativity for your knowledge, our adaptability for your stability, our diversity for your unity. Imagine what we could accomplish together. The council chamber erupted in discussion, but there was a different tone now. The younger council members especially showed patterns of interest rather than dismissal. They had seen the reports, watched the battles, observed how humans took established principles of science and warfare and transformed them into something new. In the end, it wasn't the humans' military victories that truly changed the hegemony. It was the realization that their own civilization had stopped growing, stopped adapting, stopped embracing new possibilities in their quest for perfect order. As the council debated into the night, Vix Era stood with Maya on an observation deck, watching Earth gleam in the distance. Your people taught us something we had forgotten, the Admiral admitted. That true strength lies not in perfection, but in the constant pursuit of improvement. Not in having all the answers, but in never stopping asking questions. Maya smiled. And perhaps you can teach us the value of unity without uniformity. After all, the stars are endless. There's room enough for all kinds of perfection. The war that began with an attempt to force humanity into the hegemony's mold ended with the hegemony itself being transformed. In their effort to change humanity, they had instead been changed by it, learning that the greatest power in the universe wasn't technological superiority or military might, but the simple, endless human drive to adapt, to improve, and to imagine new possibilities.